That's it, good buddy. Call it a night.
What's going on, guys? I know it's been a while. It's been about a couple months since I've made a video, but I only make videos when I have, some material to talk about and to critique. And now that Danny has released his next development video, I have decided to critique a lot of his video and give some feedback and talk about the pros and the cons of this video and how important it is for you guys to support it this year. Alright, just to start off, at the beginning of the video I had a couple Bible verses on the screen. Now let's get something abundantly clear here. The last two versions of Axis Football were made pretty much by Danny himself and just a couple people. I mean, he didn't have help. He didn't have somebody to help him with certain aspects of the game. He didn't have a team adequate enough to make the kind of game that you guys are accustomed to, like the Maddens and the 2Ks. But that's going to change this year. That being said, it's still amazing what he was able to do the last 2 years to try to, make his fan base happy with the requests. I mean, pretty much every request I asked for was fulfilled, and if it wasn't fulfilled the year prior, it was fulfilled in the next year. And a lot of my requests that I've made in my Improving Axis Football videos are being addressed this year. For example, a high-quality player model, better commentary, improved physics, better presentation, just to name a few. Now let's get back to the Bible verse for a second. Two can accomplish twice as much as one can. Now, and Danny's been by himself for the last couple years, but this year he's got more people helping him. He's got people working on animations. He's got people working on physics. He's got people working on presentation. He doesn't have to worry about everything anymore. It's a much different game this year because of that. We're going to get a much improved product this year. It is not going to be like it was last year. And that's why I've had the Gremlins clip in there, because this game will be what we call a metamorphosis. It's not going to look the same, it's not going to play the same, and it's not going to feel the same. So it's not really going to be recognizable. Even what you see on the screen here is going to change. Now, I can't talk about everything because I was sworn to, in confidence, not to talk about what I've seen so far, but there's something coming that he hasn't shown, and it's really going to add a lot to the game. And I found out even more today about even more visual eye candy that's coming, but again, I don't think I can talk about it. But let's get to my critique of this video now. Alright, so let's start off with something positive here. If you look at the grass is going to actually have blades this year. It didn't have that last year. It was just a flat texture, nothing really there. But now we actually have 3D grass, something that, we see in every football game. But it's something that we're going to have this year. It's going to come up to, I think, the ankles, he said. The blades of grass. So it's going to actually look like a football field, more so than it did last year. And the logo in the middle of the field, or any logo for that matter on the field, will actually be part of the field. It won't just be something placed on top with no, it wasn't part of the field last year, that you couldn't even see the grass on the logos. That's going to be different this year. So that's a huge visual upgrade right off the bat. I can see here by just looking at this video here. All right, now let's talk about the playbook. Now, I know that this isn't the final product, and it's definitely going to change, but the playbook has got to be expanded tremendously this year to have a chance on consoles. If it's going to be approved on consoles, it's got to have hundreds and hundreds of plays, because that's what people are accustomed to. That's what they're used to seeing, and if they don't see, a variety of formations and plays, that just isn't going to have enough. It's not going to cut it. It's got to have a ton of different plays, and it just doesn't have that right now. That's one of my biggest complaints with the game as it currently stands. That's one of my major gripes, is the playbooks have got to be bigger. They have to be much, much bigger and expansive, and hopefully in time that will happen. And I'm going to have a lot of nitpicks as I go along because, I've played a lot of Axis football and I've been clamoring for a lot of these things. First off, just something really simple here. I would love to be able to disable the passing instructions that are on the screen at the beginning of each game. I don't know if he's going to have that this year, but that's just something I'd like to see gone. Being able to have more control over my lines, my defensive line, my linebackers, my secondary. I just want to be able to shift them more. Right now you have the basic left and right shifts, but I want to be able to pinch them and spread out the linebackers and all that, but you can't do that right now. And of course the secondary, you can back them up, but you can't move them laterally left to right like you could in NFL 2K5 or actually it wasn't in 2K5, it was in All Pro 2K8 where you could shift the secondary left to right so you could take away certain passing routes like the slants or the sideline routes. That's something that I'd like to see added in the future. Probably not going to happen this year, and I don't expect it to, but this is a critique and just things that I want to see added to the game that will make it a much better experience for everybody. Now let's talk about people's complaints they had about the field width and dimensions and everything. Now he said he's addressed that this year, so he said that the field is the correct dimensions and everything. It's just the players were not the right proportions, and they didn't fit well with the field. So hopefully, we won't really know until we see it for ourselves and everything, but he said that that's been addressed, so there's a pro for you guys. The field has been addressed for the proper dimensions. If you guys have any concerns, just hit him up on Twitter, say, I don't like this or I don't like that. But to me, I'll wait. This is a wait and see approach. I can't really tell from looking at it here. I don't know. To me, it looks good. I could tell that just by looking at the field just looks so much better. I know you guys could tell where the actual grass actually has blades now. 3D grass looks amazing. All right, let's move on. All right, now here's two complaints that I have, and I've already talked to James about this today, actually, and I believe he's the PR person now for Axis Football. But anyway, from this picture, you can pretty much tell what I'm going to be talking about here. The quarterback is way too far back from the snap here, from the center. In real life, they have their hands, pretty much on their butt. I mean, that's not the case here. You want to have the quarterback's hands closer to the center here, closer to his buttocks, so he can receive the ball. This is not accurate representation here, and I'd like to see this fixed. It's a small little thing, but I'm going to critique it. I want this game to be as best as it can be, and I know that this would bother, everybody else probably too eventually, but you really can't tell from the backside that much. But once we eventually get instant replay and all that, and we definitely need instant replay in the future, the sooner rather than later, but maybe next year, I hope. I desperately don't think it's coming this year. But yeah, I want to see the quarterback spacing improve there. Another little nitpick that I had with last year's version and the year before was when the quarterback was in the shotgun, their legs were just evenly spaced, side by side. They weren't like a real quarterback when he's in the shotgun. Not every quarterback has the same thing, but, their legs are usually, one of their legs is forward. Now, Kyle Anderson released a few pictures yesterday, and this shows exactly what I'm talking about right here. Let me show you a picture. All right, so as you can see here, the quarterback has his left leg forward. Now, I don't know if they have different legs for different, handed quarterbacks or whatever, but this is a proper stance that I'd like to see in Axis football, where you have a certain leg forward. Again, I don't know the specifics. I'd have to look it up, but I'm used to seeing it when watching NFL football, college football, etc. That's how the quarterbacks line up in the shotgun. In Axis, they didn't do that last year, but I certainly hope that they'll make that adjustment this year. Just another little nitpick that I'd like to see. All right, this is a big complaint here, and I've already talked to James about this. Now, the offensive and defensive line interactions are they take way too long to happen. Like, as you can see, I'm going to pause it right here. Now, as you can see, look at the spacing between the two lines. Look at how wide that is. That is way too wide. And the interactions in real life happen almost immediately. They go right at each other. They don't. Well, here you have them dropping back and everything into a pass blocking situation, but still, you got these guys going. There's not that kind of a large gap. No, I don't think. No way. No way is there that large of a gap between the two lines. That is something that we must see changed this year, or it just isn't going to look right. It's not going to look right. It's not going to feel right. That's got to change for sure. And that's really my biggest complaint about this entire video is that right there, the spacing. And I talked about this to Danny already last year in Axis 16. I said that they're taking way too long to get to an interaction. They need to immediately interact with each other. Like as soon as they come off the stance, they need to be going at each other, and that just isn't the case here. So that really needs to be cleaned up. Now let's get to some really cool positive things. Now, Danny talked a lot about the new physics, the collision detection for every player. This is really going to add a lot to the game, guys. I mean, considering we didn't have this last year, it's going to make for a lot more dynamic football interactions and everything. But what I really am glad, and it's just so refreshing to see this, is when he has the guy put his hands out. Let me show you right here. This is so refreshing to see because now the receivers are going to put their hands out to try to catch the ball. Catching animation is something we take for granted in football games because they've always been there, but they haven't been there in Axis football. We're going to have them this year, and I've purchased quite a few of the catching animations that we haven't even seen yet. But having this new point your hand where the ball is going is awesome to see because it's going to be amazing with this new. The passing is already great because of how you can aim the cursor and everything, but I still wanted to see catching animations because they would just add so much to the game. I mean, it just doesn't look right if the quarterback throws the ball to a receiver and he doesn't put his hands out. So this might seem like something simple, but for me, this is huge. Now, in addition to catching animations, we are going to have actual physics with the ball. You see how the ball, it hits him in the face mask, and then, he can't catch the ball. This seems something so simple, guys, but you take it for granted when you don't have it in a football game. Now, a lot of things still need to be cleaned up, this is a work in progress, but this is huge for the foundation for the future. We're actually going to have ball physics. We're going to have physics with the players, the collision detection and all that. That's huge, guys. I can't say it enough. And I didn't even expect an overhaul to the physics this year, or even a beginning part to see anything with the physics. But it's glad to see it here. Really good to see this happening this year, guys. It's going to add a lot. Now, the final thing I'm going to talk about is the best thing about this entire video. This clip here was the best thing about the entire video. Let's take a look. Again, guys, bear in mind the animations are not in yet. This is from last year's animations. But they do have the new player models. Now, right here, when he pauses it and he shows you, now he breaks the first tackle here. It does kind of look a little wonky here. Physics take a long time to get used to, guys. Now he stops his player moving. This did not happen last year. This is insanely awesome here. This just looks so much better, guys. I cannot tell you how glad I am to see this. When I saw this, I just said, yep, this is improving a lot because there's actual momentum being respected here. He's going down to the ground. He's actually got a collision going on. He's not just getting hit and falling down. This is something that I did not expect to see this year. And oh my goodness, am I glad it's here. This is awesome, guys. And this is just the beginning. There's a lot more to come. Like I said, there's a new development video coming in a couple weeks. There was a large gap between the last one, but he did assure us that there wouldn't be the next time. So it's a lot coming. I've like I said, there's a lot that he hasn't shown, and they're still using a lot of the 16 assets. As you can see, that the crowd is still the same, the stadium is still the same. There's a lot of things that are still the same, and we haven't even heard the commentary in full motion yet. So, guys, it's only going to get better from here. All right, guys, I'll see you guys next time.